I have a lot of do one thing a day projects. One photo a day, one vlog a day, one blog a day. Do the dishes once a day. I have a lot of do one a day things. Certainly, my photo editing process is it's a process for sure. I go through here, and particularly what I'm doing here is in this photo that I'm working on. I'm gonna show you what it is at the end, but this one here is something kind of special. It's kind of unique. But what I do is I just go through here, and first I got to find out which photo I want. No, I don't want that one. That's vertical. Well, I don't like vertical photos at all. Now I'm just sorting through. I take too many of them with this one, but maybe I took a few. And so these are the ones that I want to keep now. Okay, so now I figured out the ones that I want to keep. So the ones that I want to keep now, I send my download folder, and it's a process. This is not a simple process at all. I think people think that being a photographer, which is my primary job, YouTube by far, not YouTube and Medium, don't necessarily pay the bills. Maybe not being a photographer does either, but probably it's something. I'll find the ones I want to work with. I'll just put them into Lightroom. I usually start off with like a tray of several photos, and I'll edit that down. This is just a small one. It's not like maybe 10 or 15 photos, something like that. So for me, the creative process is very open. I mean, my wife and I, we run a production company, and a big chunk of that is photography. And we used to do weddings, and I think I take my photography very personal. So when I'm editing, like what I'm doing now, it's you really have to feel every photo, like every single photo. That's why I always encourage people to do prints. Like when they say, well, you know what, we're not going to do prints or whatever. We don't do too many weddings anymore, though. That's just more than I really care to do. It's way more headache. The customer service aspect of it's just too much headache. But when I'm editing, I really can't wait to show you all this, because when I'm going through this, it's kind of like, okay, look, you know what? Which one of these photos am I going to use? What am I going to use to illustrate a purpose? And like, what is the purpose behind the photo that I'm taking, or that I took here today? And it's really just a simple photo I took here in the studio. And I don't use presets or filters for my stuff. I just don't. I'll prefer to go back in here and hand touch these photos. So I don't use filters or presets. I just kind of let it come as it kind of happens. I really kind of let the creative process kind of flow. And sometimes I say, well, is there something I want, like with a black and white, or maybe I want a cinematic look to it, or just think sometimes it's really hard to know which photo, because you get so personally attached to so many of the photos. Getting personally attached to a photo, that's getting personally attached to a story, to an idea, to a deeply held belief, whatever it is. So the idea with this one is I feel like this is I'm gonna let you in on a little secret to what this photo is here. It's a living thing. I guess I just don't know how I feel about this living thing. So Kelly is much more an abstract artist, more of a still life photography than I am. She's also a middle school teacher. So, but she's very much an abstract artist, a still life photographer. She does a lot of still life. Abstract, she's very, very, very good at it too. Very good at still life. But in fact, the background that I'm using for this photo is actually her photo, actually. Axel had to come in here and see what I was doing with this photo because he's like, what are you doing? So, it's actually what I spend most of my days doing. Because art is a beautiful thing. Art is a fantastic thing. It helps us create, it helps us explore, it helps us understand. Art heals us. Art comforts us. Art brings us balance. You see, I go through so many moods every day, you know, where I'm a blogger or a storyteller or a photo editor or photographer. So every photo has a story, no matter what that story is. It's a work of art. It's something you have to enjoy. And I think my job as a photographer, as an editor, is to go in and tell the story of these photos, right? And whatever that story may be, right? I mean, that story could be anything. And, you know, it's really kind of an interesting thing because one of my biggest influences, I guess, was the American painter from Cody, Wyoming, Jackson Pollock. I was a huge fan of Jackson Pollock. But as a photographer, one of my biggest influences is Golda Meir. It's Vivian Meir. Yeah, Golda Meir. Two very different people. But Vivian Meir, who was a Chicago street photographer, who actually, she kept her photos in a box. She never showed them to anyone. She didn't put them out there for anyone in the world to see. And posthumously, after she died, you know, obviously posthumously, she became recognized for her work. And some of the maybe this whole idea of her is a little cliche, but when I'm sitting here editing these photos, and it feels like probably I'm doing a little bit of incoherent rambling with this, but it's all a story. Everything's a story. And behind these stories are people, are places, are events. There's all sorts of things behind these stories, whether it's a corporate story or whether it's a wedding story or whatever. And I found that you don't rush the process. You know, with some of the commercial work, you have a deadline. With some of the, things like that, you have a deadline. But then with weddings, you know, you say, okay, well, we're going to try to get this stuff, between 6 and 8 weeks or whatever. Sometimes it's going to take longer, because I, as an artist, have to feel the photos. And there can be several thousand photos. And this is why I don't do weddings anymore, very select weddings, is because I like to be able to go back and feel and touch and experience and find the story in each and every photo, just like I'm doing with this tray of photos here right now. So this particular photo is a photo of contrast. It's a photo, different colors, light, and the personal story behind it is this is something kind of personal to my wife, Kelly, that she's been working on for some time. And something I said that couldn't be done. And I think it's worthy of some photos. And for my photo of the day, this is the photo that I'm taking. And now I'm editing it. I don't know why I saved this one. There must have been something about this photo I liked. Because the damn thing's out of focus. And why I saved this photo? It's completely, the subject is completely out of focus. And what I'm doing here is I'm trying to look over the elements. Like there was a reason why I saved this photo for some reason, and this particular photo is out of focus. It doesn't have any really rhyme or reason for it. I mean, it's blown out. If you're a photographer, you know what that means. I really don't know why I saved this photo. I really do not. But the photos, that's why I say each photo is a story, right? And maybe I didn't, I'll come back to this. Each photo is a story, no matter what it is, whether it's a wedding photo, a corporate story, whatever it is, right? Each photo is a story. And through the whole process, it's a real joy to be able to work on these photos. So one idea that I came up with here for the YouTube channel was this. And I think it shows my different personalities. We have so many different personalities throughout the day. Sometimes it's very laid back. Sometimes it's very intense. Sometimes it's very vocal. And then, when I'm doing my photography work, it's relaxing. This doesn't include my consulting and my coaching work either. So as a filmmaker, I think I'm very intense. As a photographer, I think I'm very intimate with my subjects. As a writer, I think I'm pretty intimate. So filmmaking to me allows me a chance to put all of this emotion into, and then the photography allows me to come back down. Yeah. Therapeutic. I have no idea why I said this photo. No idea. I'm looking back through these frames. Anyway, this is today's photo.